Okay, everybody watching YouTube, this is Steve Scott, and we are just wrapping up our 2015 Shingitai National Training Camp here in Perrysville, Ohio, and we are in the office of John Saylor. There he is there, the director of our Shingitai Jiu-Jitsu Association, and actually it's more than just Jiu-Jitsu, and we're going to have a little discussion about what the concept of Shin, Gi, and Tai, these three concepts, how they tie together into overarching training and philosophy of sport combat, self-defense, any area we want to discuss here. We'll try to keep this short for YouTube viewers with under 10 minutes, but we want to give you a good sense of how Shingitai is used in any form of personal combat, defensive tactics, police, fighting sport, MMA, whatever it may be. So we have to our right here John Saylor, and there's Derrick Darling, and there's Mike Pennington, and there's Sean Daugherty, each very successful men in Shingitai Jiu-Jitsu and the organization we have. I'm Steve Scott, you know, because you're watching my YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and start. John, why don't you give us an overview of what the approach we have in Shinjitai and how that can be applied in just about any form of fighting, really, and training.
I'll try to do that. First of all, I've got to define Shinjitai. It's a word that I first heard from my coach, Yoshisada Yaneska, who we affectionately knew as Yanni. And Yanni just passed away this past October. God rest his soul. He was a great man, a great judo man, a two-time Olympic coach for the United States, All-Japan college judo champion, and was my coach for several years when I moved to New Jersey for a while. Yanni explained it this way. He said, Shin referred to your mind, your heart, your spirit, in other words, fighting spirit. Gi referred to the skill or the art that you're practicing. Tai referred to the body or the physical portion of your training. And Yanni always felt that the person that had those attributes in the right proportions would most often emerge as the winner. And we found that to be very true. And we've always used Shinjitai as a checklist for ourselves, as a means of self-examination. In other words, with Shin, you need the mental toughness. The Gi, the skill, you got to have skill. You got to have functional skill, from standing, ground fighting, everything. And you've got to have the physical conditioning to go with it. And that's a whole science in itself. And in Shinjitai Jiu-Jitsu, we study all these different areas. In other words, we believe that to win, you've got to outthink your opponent, which is Shin. We believe you've got to out-technique your opponent, Gi. And we believe you've got to out-train your opponent, Tai. And that's it in a nutshell. That's the short version of it, Steve.
Well, each of you guys here, Sean, let's start with you because you've had a lot of experience using our philosophy of Shinjitai in your varied martial arts career. In fact, you were one of the youngest guy to fight in the UFC.
One time.
At one time. Okay, I don't know if that is no longer. I don't keep it up as much.
Somebody beat me by a month,
Okay. Well, real quickly, we do want to keep it as brief as we can to keep it kind of a short period of time here. Give us your background and how this philosophy of Shinjitai has helped you in your training and your successes as a very eclectic style of jiu-jitsu and your approach to training and fighting over the years that you've had. Great success.
Okay, this is very off the cuff. I mean, because our paradigms shift almost on a daily basis, and then as we train, we truly train, we embrace truth. We're always going to be evolving, and just from a conversation earlier today that we all had out on the deck. We were talking about claustrophobia and my time when I was at another training camp a long time ago in my youth, how I was held down and pinned, and I felt helpless because I just couldn't get out of, I didn't know how to wrestle. I couldn't get out from underneath individuals. Actually, truth be known, it was Ken Shamrock. And Frank Juarez, Frank Shamrock, Jason DeLucia, early Lions Den guys when I was one of the members there. And it was kind of a tough love. It was learned by osmosis kind of thing. But I didn't really get anywhere because I couldn't get past the fear stage, and being held down and pinned for so long, it almost broke my spirit almost. And later on, a couple years later, I met John Saylor. I came here to the Barn of Truth dojo, and we're kind of kindred spirits in that sense of claustrophobia. And one of the things he saw right away was, it was like, I need to teach this guy. Ignorance dispels fear, or ignorance is the cause of fear, and if we're going to get rid of fear, we have to have knowledge. And he taught me. He taught me technique. He taught me how to get out from the bottom. He taught me how to be dominant in the top position. He basically taught me how to wrestle, and that gave me that gave me knowledge. It gave me confidence in my mind that I knew that just because I was on the bottom and I was being smothered, it wasn't going to last forever, and I had the power and the ability to change the situation. And that right there is a testament to the Shin aspect of Shingitai. For me, that's a huge thing for me. Later on, when I went into the para-rescue selection course and the combat control section course in the Air Force, there was a lot of underwater stuff. And because of the training that I had here, to keep my mind calm and to talk myself through things and keep my cool in bad situations, it got me through the courses. Unfortunately, my body didn't hold up to the challenges. I've had to have many surgeries. But even that in and of itself, I've had 18 surgeries, but I'm still going. There's video of today, you see me on the mats, where I'm still going. And yes, the Thai portion, the body, and the training portion falls into that, but more so it's the Shin. I'd have to say Shin being the first word is a good position.
Yeah, it's an old Japanese philosophy, and
There's a reason Shin was the first word. When it can be combined into 3 words, or it can be grouped together as 1 word, but Shin is always first. Before you work skill, you got to have the right mindset to work skill or to develop the physical condition.
And even the kanji symbol of Shin, just beyond the mental aspect of it, it looks like a heart with blood spurting out of it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to look like that. No, an Asian fella pointed that out to me. But
Is he on LSD? Or
no, it really is. Kanji is like a hieroglyph. But before we digress any further, but knowledge can also bring courage, and that's one thing I have is mental toughness. And I've seen John's example so many times. I remember meeting him and knowing that this guy was kicking my butt. 45-year-old man whipping the crap out of this 23-year-old guy, and I was no slouch, and he had a paralyzed shoulder, and that gave me like I was like, holy crap, if I can be half this man, that would be awesome. But the technique portion, like Steve, as you've talked about, the difference, the skill and technique, the two difference between the two, the ability to have the one have the knowledge, and two to have the technique is the knowledge, and the skill is the ability to employ that knowledge on a regular basis. The repetition and doing it over and over and over again, it just made me a better person. These principles can be applied to life and on the mats. And then Thai, of course, it became a way of life of just constantly being strong physically. Through all my surgeries, was not so much about competition for me, but it helped me recover from every single surgery that I've had.
Right, you certainly have. Well, you two guys in the middle, real quick, let's bring you two guys in. Mike on the left and Derrick on the right, you're training partners that are welcome at Training Center. And you train together all the time. You are good training partners and help each other out quite a bit. From your experiences, and Derrick, I know you've been at the World Sambo Championships, and what both of you guys, why don't you chime in here and give us your perspective on how this Shingitai overarching philosophy has really helped you develop into be the excellent technicians and actually decent human beings that you are. Can you give us your perspective?
Well, I kind of stumbled into this not half-heartedly 7 or 8 years ago, found Steve and the crew at the Sylvester Powell Community Center, and thought, oh, this is interesting. I grew up loving this stuff with my dad, and watching the early UFCs. And
Well, you have a background. You're also black belt in Goju Karate.
yeah, I did the hard style karate when I was a kid, and so I've always kind of loved this stuff, and I had no idea that just how challenging physically, mentally, that this aspect and what I love about what the Shingitai Jiu-Jitsu is here is they accept what works. I mean, we do the catch wrestling, the sambo, if it works, if it's an acceptable, we adapt what we do to any sort of style of sport combat, and I think that's great, and we find what works and we stick to it and we discover it. And I never thought I could. I'm a 42-year-old guy. I never thought I'd be able to train with world-class athletes and to really challenge myself. I love the analogy that this is like human chess, because it really is. I mean, being on the bottom, being pressured by someone who's got better technique, someone who's stronger than you, someone who's heavier than you, all those things are little pieces of the puzzle, and it really challenges you to be able to use the skill, the philosophy, your mind, the technique, and your conditioning, to use all of those in your favor, and that's how I've learned as much as I have, is by training with athletes of this caliber.
Maybe the totality of the training,
It really is.
methodology.
It's been an experience for me. I've loved every minute of it.
Well, Derrick, you've had a good eclectic career, but from freestyle and AAU judo, you've been a multi-time national champion in that, and also national sambo champion in MMA, a really good record in MMA, and also internationally, you've done some submission grappling, sport jiu-jitsu. But again, at the World Combat Sambo Championships, you competed. So, give us your perspective on, these are pretty rough sports, and how's this overarching philosophy, helped you? What's it done for you?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to mention first that I didn't start any martial art until I was 27. So, I mean, I wrestled a single time when I was in 6th grade in PE. The PE instructor had forgotten all 6 weeks that we were supposed to be doing wrestling that I hadn't wrestled yet. So he kept forgetting me to put me in to wrestle against the other kids. And I didn't say anything till the very end. And that was my one match, was against the kid who actually won my weight division. And after that, I never did grappling again until, when I met the fellas at Welcome At, and it was something I always wanted to do. I was never able to do it growing up. Academics were always more important to my mom, and on top of that, we weren't, well off enough really to be able to afford it. So, coming into it from that perspective, I didn't really have any preconceived notion of what was supposed to be going on beyond what I'd seen in videos and or the UFC, which at that time was, it wasn't nearly as big as it was today. It was still kind of an underground thing. But that kept me it gave me an open idea about what, what I could accept in. And the idea of Shingitai appealed to me from the standpoint that nothing can be broken down to just one thing. You can't win one thing just because you've got the most knowledge. You can't win one thing just because you're in the best shape, and you can't win one thing just because you have the most heart. You might, but it's not going to work every time.
Okay.
And it really appealed to me that somebody who could, like me, come into it late in life, that nobody would ever look at and think could do anything beyond be just a computer geek, could actually do this. And that was one of the things that I thought was really amazing about it. Specifically, Shingitai doesn't have a bias against any martial art form.
That's a good way to put it. It doesn't. It's a very eclectic, open philosophy and approach, isn't it? You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I started competing, mostly on a lark. But you know, after I did well in my first local tournament, I remember you telling me, well, I guess you're a thrower, so we're going to have to work on that. And it just took off from there. And you know, something would come up, and either you would say something about it, or you know, I would find out about something. Hey, that sounds kind of interesting. I can do that. They allow, you know, takedowns. They allow submissions. I could do that. And you know, because of the philosophy of Shingitai, you know, do you have the skill to do it? Yes. Do you have the physical ability and stamina and strength to do it? Yes. Do you have the heart to actually get in there with somebody else who's trying to rip your arm off and beat you with it? You know, are you willing to do that? Yes. Okay, well then, get out there and get them. And that really is the philosophy of Shingitai. You know, if it falls within our sphere of influence, you know, we don't see any reason why we shouldn't do it.
That's right. Yeah, it's very open-ended, like I said before. There's no reason why we shouldn't do it, and that's why whatever sport, combat sport, or whether law enforcement, self-defense people want to pursue, this Shingitai approach to training and our you know, philosophy is really the way to go. We're sold on it, obviously. We believe in it, and it's what we do in our lives. I might mention before we close here, John and I co-authored a book, Vital Jiu-Jitsu. It is available either through John Saylor directly at his website, johnsaylor-sja. How does it go? johnsaylor-sja.com. Yeah, and we also have it on our online store, Welcome at online. What is it?
WelcomeAtStore.com.
WelcomeAtStore.com. They are available, Vital Jiu-Jitsu, among other things there. You know, you can purchase other. So if you want to know more about what we're about, contact John at his website, or certainly go on our online store at and our WelcomeAtTrainingCenter.com is our website. We use quite a bit there in Kansas City. Sean, do you have a website putting you on the no, you don't, because you're here with John. That's right.
You know what I'd
It's
like
all.
to say is, Steve, we didn't get any words from you.
Well, we're
Steve
running
Scott is
short.
one of the best coaches I know. I'd like to turn the camera around.
Well,
We have
a
some-
lot of people know. No, a lot of people know me, so they've seen me
they
plenty.
know.
No, they've seen me plenty,
Oh, okay.
and we are running short of time. I think they hear me a lot anyway. You know, probably
Okay.
too much for their liking in some cases.
Right.
But let it be known that. Of course, you and I both know that I bought into this a long time ago.
Yeah.
John developed this, the Shingitai philosophy, started fully in '84, '85,
Right.
and I was one of his very first devotees.
Yeah.
You know, but Dave Hodge and I think some other guys were jumping on board very quickly.
Right.
Me too. And because we've been friends a number of years, and one, you were my friend, and number two, it dovetailed directly with how our training philosophy at our Welcome Mat Club has always been, the three phases of it. And you explained it to me brilliantly in Shingi and Tai. At that time, I had not known that there was such a thing as this three-pronged philosophy, which we had used. You know, the very same thing that I'd been using at Welcome Mat as a coach and as an athlete earlier. So, yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents worth in on this conversation. But, well, gentlemen, thanks a lot. For those of you watching, the Shingitai is more than just a style of jiu-jitsu. We wanted to make that point here in this video. It is an overarching philosophy, and if you want to affiliate with our organization, please go to www.johnsaylorsja.com, or you can go to my contact me directly, stevescottjudo@yahoo.com, or go to our Welcome Mat site, Welcome Mat Training Center. And we also, like I said, we have our WelcomeAtStore.com. You can buy our book, Vital Jiu-Jitsu, to hear more about it. So, gentlemen, thanks very much.
Thank you,
And we will wrap it up. Okay, thanks a lot, guys.